informal business, you have limited protection of your labor rights. You have limited access to all of the protection that is set out by law, which means that 9 out of 10 people in Cambodia are not technically protected under labor law at all. So they're prone to a lot of consequences, and it matters because it's first of all, yeah, it has invisibility in the national statistics, which means that it doesn't really go directly, or there's also like behind the scene kind of like statistics that we don't really know what's happening in Cambodia, which reflects to the current condition where we don't really know the actuality of context in Cambodia. For example, like labor statistics. Apparently, unemployment rate in Cambodia is somewhere in the 90%, which is in one case it's true, but it's also a lot of infiltration of the data, and it's not really accurate in the sense that when we look at the actuality of Cambodia, it's not really true, and yeah, it leads to lower government revenue, growth of unlawful jobs, which also opens another gate of like, well, we have these businesses that are informal and they don't register themselves, but they actually comply to the law. But it also opens another paradigm of businesses or jobs or any like dirty business that happens besides that as well, which means that these kind of business can actually do something illegal and we might not know about it, and even worse, not worse, but like businesses that actually do comply to the law, but they are exploiting their employees, their workers, and they're paying them below the minimum wage, and it's okay because it's not under the law. And yeah, so it also links to economic growth and how it can actually hinder it in a sense. So yeah, so that's my problem statement, is that there are so little businesses and institutions that register themselves. Hence, people in Cambodia tend to be employed in an informal sector, and some of them don't even know that they are employed in informal sectors. So, upon my key findings, I also found out that with a prime example of disability law, which is a research conducted by two people, Amma and Willis. So back in 2019, there's a disability law that's rolled out from the government, which is to encourage people, with the intention to encourage more people with disability to be employed. With the law set out to ask businesses and employers to basically do a lot of these equitable actions in order for people with disability to be employed. So to be more, to have more accessibility. That's what the law means, and but that also translates to more expense for businesses, for employers, which means that they have to spend money on ramps for people who cannot walk. They have to spend money on a lot of aids and a lot of assistance for people with disability that need help while they do their job. And that translates to a lot of expense, which also translates to employers not wanting to hire people with disability even more. And it also leads to people who are able a more easier candidate. And that's why the research finding also found that the law may have worsened the outcomes, which means that less people with disability are being employed after the law being rolled out, because there's not enough initiative to help, equitable initiative to help, besides having a law that says so. So the core insight that I have from this is that there's a lot of law that is in practice and law that is in legislation. So it's not always the same. It needs to, and it reflects a really, really deep systemic discrimination that we have in our system. And if the law is conducted, it's like legislated without any action following up it will actually deepen inequality. So these findings give me another outlook in people who are in the margin, who are marginalized in Cambodia as well, and how it's also actually harder. And I've also reflected to youth in provinces, and another layer of discrimination, which is they have, if they are from provinces and they are also with disabilities, they tend to actually get less employed as well, and their labor literacy also links to that as well. Yeah. So, another finding that I found is that labor literacy and socioeconomic status also links together. People who are from provinces, students that are from provinces have low labor rights literacy. They tend to enter their workplace without any knowledge of their labor rights that is set up by the Ministry of Labor and Vocational Training. And yeah. Okay, so in New Zealand, I learned another thing that is similar to the disability law that happened in Cambodia, which is called cultural taxation, where I looked into Maori, people who are from Maori background, or people who identify as Maori, who can speak Maori language, actually have it harder than expected compared to their colleagues who are not Maori. Basically, there's this law or like this cultural social expectation where if a workplace is more inclusive, is a workplace that has more Maori culture immersion in it. So workplaces will usually involve their employees who can speak Maori, who know about Maori culture, to do all of these Maori activities for free for them. So it's actually like it can be like a small task, but small task can actually build up into a pile of big tasks, which translate to unpaid labor. And just because you have an identity as Maori, you have to do more in order to get paid the same as your colleagues. So that's in a nutshell. So yeah, and this is the Venn diagram that I found that is interesting enough to link together the problems that we have, labor problem that we have in Cambodia versus in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So identity-based labor is one of the key components that happens in both countries, which is the thing that I said about cultural taxation and also the disability law that I find really interesting. And so introducing to my project, so rights, right?
Right.
Right. Okay, so a little bit about the project goal is basically to help young people understand their labor rights, recognize where they stand, and confidently navigate their choices. So yeah, that's the project goal, to help youth more understand more of their choices and how they can navigate through the world to Cambodia. Yep. The project objectives, however, I have two objectives. First is to empower high school students to explore their future pathways and understand where they stand in terms of labor literacy. And two is to assess students' current knowledge of labor rights and use the insights to inform and co-design a follow-up action project that addresses the gap. Methodology that I have in this is basically a co-design methodology where we would involve young people to actually co-design with us in the process of designing a solution for them to address the labor literacy gap. So activities would just be like, we'll have a workshop where we say that, oh, you finish high school, now what do you want to do with your life? So it's like future exploration, but with a hidden layer of training on labor rights and assessment on their labor rights knowledge. So yeah, so basically host a workshop about future exploration and then phase into labor literacy assessment, and then let the student assess, acknowledge, and work on how to narrow their labor literacy together. And then afterwards, we'll also call them back. A sample of students come back to co-create a solution for phase 2, so action project phase 2. And yeah, the target group is from various provinces, depending on the connections that
That's
I
your
have.
12 minutes.
Thank you.
All right.
Done.
Okay, questions please.